So obviously one of the biggest opportunities that we see from ViaLite Communications is actually following the theme of the high throughput satellites. If you just look at all the big numbers that are coming out in the market today, you see that there are over 6,000 satellites being planned over the course of the next 10 years, being planned for launch. And these new satellites are very capable machines. If you look at the capacity capabilities compared to the old FSS satellites, they've got like a times 100 improvement in capacity through these satellites. So even over the course of the next couple of years, we're going to see a trebling of the amount of general broadband capacity available in the market. Getting a bit closer to ViaLite, if we actually look at the transponders and the link budgets for these new satellites, traditionally we had transponders of 36 megahertz. To cope with the HTS, the transponders are much wider bandwidth. So, what does that mean? Well, for us, so ViaLite, we play in the ground segment piece of this industry, and we help the suppliers get the links correct on the ground segment side. So, we connect the ground stations and gateways through to the antenna dishes, remote antenna farms. And we do this using a technology called RF over fiber. So we take what's the traditional coax links and we convert those into RF over fiber. So we take the RF signals and we convert them into an optical signal. And the benefits of doing that is that we have a much lower loss connection between the dishes. We can achieve much greater distances. So particularly if you're trying to create antenna diversity or rain fade diversity, we can put much wider distances. So coming back to how that all links into HTS and the transponders, well, our technology is able to support much wider bandwidths. So we've launched a product at this show called Hyper-Wide Dynamic Range cards. So this actually takes bandwidths up to 1,500 megahertz and very capable of coping with the HTS demands. The neat thing about these cards is that they have and the name suggests it, they have a very wide dynamic range. So the cards actually come with 114 dBs per hertz, which is the biggest value you'll find actually on the market. So what it means is we can cope with the big bandwidths and we can support the high throughput satellite technologies much easier. So the Middle East is a growing market for us actually. And it has a kind of unique aspects around it, I think. If we just take the obvious parts first, if we look at the environment and terrain of the Middle East, it's quite different from sort of a very sort of middle of the road England or Europe, if you like. These are very harsh conditions in the Middle East, and from a temperature point of view, and also from a dust and ingress perspective. The customers here also want to typically cover much greater distances between the control stations and gateways and the antennas. So building those two pieces together, it means that we have to produce a product that's capable of sustaining the environment. So our products, we can mount them in outdoor shelters. They can also be put in outdoor enclosures. They come with heat shields or air conditioning. And of course, we've got the IP ratings that prevent the kind of the dust ingress that you get in this kind of environment. So I think the other part of it is the reliability. So our products come with a 5-year warranty anyway, but we've got customers here in the Middle East that have been running our products continuously for over 10 years. So these things have got to work day in, day out, and work in this kind of environment. So I think with the Middle East, we have that kind of the environment and technical requirement. I think the other aspect of working in the Middle East is just the culture and the looking after the customers. Having worked with Middle East customers for many years, they're very careful that when you actually provide them a solution, that you just don't walk away and leave them kind of high and dry. Often in the contracts and the support agreements, they want many years support after you've supplied a product and solution. So this is something that we look after. We also work with local partners. We're here at the CABSAT show with Symbolize, who help us locally, and they help us with the cultural element and the local customer support. So yeah, it's a mixture of those two areas really. It's the environment, it's working in the sort of the difficult terrain that they have here, and then it's the cultural aspect and looking after these customers. And I think just the Middle East is a fascinating area. They're going to be a vital part of the high throughput satellite story as we move forward, and CABSAT 2018 will, I think, prove testament to that.